This is the Genesis G90, the ultra-luxury flagship sedan from Hyundai's top-tier division. With the market's unfortunate shift towards crossovers and SUVs, will anyone really care about this absolutely stellar sedan? Today we'll look at all of the luxury features, all of the insanely cool details, and pretend we have 100 grand to spend on this Mercedes S-Class rival. But first, here's a Genesis G90 montage. The sedan market is tanking, and if you really want an ultra-luxury flagship sedan, you're probably motivated by brand names and badges, and you might just end up buying an S-Class. But if you're one of the few people that still wants a sedan and you're open-minded enough to consider an alternative to the S-Class, chances are you'd be insanely impressed with the G90. So let's just pretend we plunk down 100 grand on this Genesis and enjoy every fancy detail and luxury feature this G90 has to offer. Okay, let's start with the exterior design. How about, yay, it's a sedan. The last 10 cars I've reviewed have all been crossovers. Sedans feel kind of like a throwback, and I'm glad to finally be able to drive one again. And this is a very large vehicle, if you couldn't already tell. It's about 17 feet long. It barely fits in my garage, but that length is much appreciated when you're inside, especially in the rear seats. It's an impressive appearance from just about every angle. It screams luxury without too much gaudiness. Yeah, it is over the top with this huge Superman grille, chrome trim, and really busy wheels. But if you want the best, chances are you care deeply about everyone else knowing that you have the money to get the best. Luxury cars aren't just for personal comfort. They're equally for signaling to others that you've got money to spend. Now, in terms of design elements that I do actually really like this big grille. I like big grilles, and I cannot lie. Actually, generally speaking, I don't like big grilles, but on this car, it looks pretty decent. I really like this split headlight design with the turn signals continuing behind the front wheel. Overall, it looks stately, it looks elegant, but it does have a touch of sportiness to it. It's impressive without a pretentious vibe. All right, let's check out one of the most impressive parts about this car, the interior. But first, you have to deal with these somewhat gimmicky door handles. They pop out. You can lock the car and unlock the car right there. And then the door will open for you if you just do that, which is kind of cool, I guess. And then should be able to shut right there. Okay, but actually, let's go inside. It's kind of windy and cold out here. It's super annoying. Let's go inside the car. Once you're inside the vehicle, don't shut the door like a plebeian. Press this button right here and it'll shut for you, because who can be bothered to pull a heavy door shut? It's so nice to be inside this amazing vehicle. So windy and cold outside. I'm gonna turn on the heated seats. I'm gonna turn on the fragrances and the climate control system. I'm gonna turn on my massage and just kind of take a nap, I think. But yeah, let's talk about all this stuff, because there's a lot of really cool stuff happening in here. So regarding these automatic doors, I think it's kind of a cool party trick. I don't know, it's fun. I'll just do it over and over again all day long. It's just kind of fun to not actually have to shut my door. I don't really know how useful that actually is, though. I certainly made sure that all of my passengers use this feature every single time we got on the car. So inside this G90, luxurious materials are everywhere. Nappa leather on the seats, micro suede for the headliner, high quality faux leather on the dashboard, door panels and consoles. Every surface shows an attention to detail that rivals the best luxury cars on sale today. I especially like this kind of laser etched wood trim. It looks awesome. And I do greatly appreciate that Genesis provides actual physical buttons for many controls, in stark contrast to the screen focused interior found on the latest S-Class. These seats are adjustable in so many different ways, every angle, every position. People of any size, any weight, any shape can fit in this vehicle, no problem. I'm 6'3" with long legs, and I have absolutely no problem fitting in here. Really super nice materials, incredibly comfortable. 3-position memory, and of course heated and cooled. So one of my favorite aspects of this interior are the massaging seats. Literally 100% of the time I drove this car, those massaging seats were on. In fact, I'm gonna have a massage while I do the rest of this review, because why not? All right, so basically I'm going to be really sad when I go back to any other car that does not have massaging seats. I think every car needs this. The 2-spoke steering wheel looks really nice. It's got a really unique design. It does have this little swipe function right here to adjust the widgets on the dashboard or to change your track when you're listening to music. In front of the driver is this 12-inch display. It looks really nice. It's incredibly clean. Not too much information, so it's not super distracting. And you can switch between a few different views. When it comes to the infotainment, the screen is positioned in a really great place on the dashboard. You can use the touch functions, or you can use this rotary dial down here, which I absolutely love. With some practice and remembering where menu items are, you can absolutely reduce the amount of time you spend with your eyes off the road. However, there are so many features and functions in this G90 that it can quickly become overwhelming if you haven't spent a bunch of time remembering where everything is. But ultimately, the system is easy to use once you've learned where everything is. Apple CarPlay is available, but only with a wire, which I find a bit odd for such a high-end luxury vehicle. Not a big deal if you keep your phone in this center console where it can be charging while it's connected. All right, we do have to check out this somewhat over-the-top mood curator. You can choose between vitality, delight, care, and comfort. Care provides a calming atmosphere with soft music lighting and a massage. Oh, nice. Comfort provides a relaxing atmosphere with relaxing music lighting and a massage. Let's do that. Let's do comfort. I actually feel like getting a little comfortable right now. Oh, puts up the blinds, gets my massage started, puts massaging seats on everybody's seat, including the seat where my kid's child seat is in, which is, it's actually massaging the car seat, which is kind of odd. I don't know how to turn it off for just one of the seats. Oh yeah, and then we got some fragrances coming through the cabin. We have a little screensaver happening up here. Okay, this is a little bit much. How do I get out of this? I'm a little bit too comfortable now. All right, stop. I feel like that fragrance that was coming through the vents was just a touch over the top. But anyway, speaking of fragrances, down here you have your choice of 2 fragrances in the climate control system. So you do have a screen to control some of the climate functions, but there are physical buttons and these rocker switches right here, which I really appreciate. It allows for a little bit more ease of use, so you don't have to take your eyes off the road as much. And there is some haptic feedback on the screen right here, which is nice, which does kind of make it sort of feel like a real button. And right above that, you have some infotainment buttons, but I found in some lighting conditions, it's kind of hard to read the text on them. And we have to talk about this Bang & Olufsen sound system. Got these cool pop-up tweeters right here in the front. Tons of speakers, sounds really good. Though I have to say, I'm not really a huge fan of the surround system that comes with this vehicle. I basically turn it all the way off. Down here on the center console, you have 2 decently sized cup holders that can be hidden with this little slider right there. A few more controls for the infotainment system right down here. And to the left of the rotary infotainment control is the gear selector, and it has a different feel so you don't confuse the two. It's certainly not as cool as the glowing orb found in the GV60. There's a button right down here to turn on and off the auto hold feature. So if you're at a stoplight or a stop sign, it'll hold the vehicle in place without having your foot on the brake until you press the gas pedal. It's kind of a neat feature, but also it makes it a little bit jerky when you try to take off again. Drive mode function button right down here. You can switch between eco, comfort, and sport. Place to charge your phone. Right down here is a button to open the split center console. It's large enough to hold 1 or 2 phones or a singamajig. 2 USB-C ports in there. And there's actually a UV function in here that kills all the germs of anything you put in there. So if anything is very germy, like your phone, throw it in there. The door pockets are pretty small. Not really much space for a water bottle. Not really much space for singamajigs either. So yeah, this is a great place to take a nap back here. In my opinion, the rear seat is absolutely the place you want to be in this vehicle. Have someone else chauffeur you around and bask in all of the luxury that this G90 has to offer. And yes, you can get this seat really far back, perfect for naps. And look at these pillow top headrests. These are amazing. So much headroom, so much legroom. It's insanely comfortable back here. We'll say there are some squeaks when I adjust the seat in some different ways. You get a couple squeaks, that's a little bit odd, but anyway. 2 seat memory positions, and there's this rest function. If there's nobody in the front seat, press that, puts your seat all the way back, puts the ottoman up, moves the front seat out of the way, so you can just take a nap. That's sort of a recurring theme of this vehicle. It's just taking naps. It's just so serene. And of course, back here, there are also massage functions. And all of your controls that you need to access are on this screen right down here in the center. You can adjust the climate control. Of course, lots of adjustments on your seats, including the front seat. You can change the front seat settings when nobody's sitting there. Here's all your massage functions. Have the shades go up and down. And you can even change the color temperature of the lights in case you want it a little bit more relaxing. Once again, buttons to open and close your door. I'll just do this all day. Yeah, it's actually kind of enjoyable. You do have some controls over the infotainment system back here, but not as much as you'd think. So you can control a lot of the stereo system here, but you can't control CarPlay, which I find a little bit odd. Down here, another place to charge phones, and there's another little console down here with 2 USB-C ports. This also has that UV light to kill germs of anything you put in there. Singamajig doesn't really fit though, unfortunately. You got some vents, another USB port. There's a pass-through to the trunk. You can easily fit a child car seat in here, though I don't know how many people that own this car have kids, or it would even allow them to be in here and get their Cheerios and Goldfish crackers everywhere. Oh, look at this. Up here, a couple vanity mirrors. That's pretty fancy. Another sunroof back here, and you can also control the rear shade. So earlier this week, we actually had 5 people in the car, and with somebody sitting in the center seat, that means that this console is now up, and you can no longer adjust the settings for these seats. So if you have it kind of in a lounge position like this, and somebody sits in the middle, yeah, there's no way you can adjust this without moving this back down, changing your seat position, and then putting this back down there. So make sure in the unlikely case that you might have 5 people in this car, set your seats before the person sits in the center. But in general, this is just such a nice place to be. I'm gonna turn the massage on. I'm gonna turn these fragrances on. I'm gonna put my seat all the way back. Fantastic, fantastic. All right. I guess I'll finish with the review. Let's talk about cargo space. Too many buttons. How do I open the door? Oh yeah, it's right here. In terms of cargo space, you think it would be a little bit bigger considering how large this car is, but really you're sacrificing a little bit of trunk space for rear seat comfort. No spare tire though, because nobody gives you spare tires anymore. But if you get a flat with this vehicle, chances are you're just gonna have somebody take care of it for you anyway. If you can't even be bothered to open your own door, why would you change your own tire? All right, enough yapping about cargo space, let's drive this thing. So the best thing about driving a vehicle like this new G90 is that every detail is designed to relax you. This driving experience is pure serenity. From the massaging seats to the extreme quietness of this cabin to how the suspension soaks up nearly every imperfection in the road. It's really quite incredible. The lower trim G90 has a turbocharged 3.5 liter V6, but this upgraded version features a unique electric supercharger, which is pretty neat. It makes 409 horsepower and 406 pound-feet of torque, and that's routed through a 10-speed automatic transmission, and the power delivery is incredibly smooth. So yeah, this G90 does provide a good deal of thrust, but it's actually a car that encourages you to drive reasonably and responsibly. So yes, this is a big, heavy, quiet car, and it feels more at home cruising the speed limit on the interstate rather than drag racing from stop signs. If you own a vehicle like this, chances are you might not give a shit about fuel economy, and that's probably a good thing because this only returns 17 miles per gallon city and 24 highway, 20 combined. After driving a bunch of electric cars over the last few weeks, this lack of efficiency feels downright primitive, but it is slightly more efficient than the V8 found in the previous generation G90, which isn't really saying a whole lot. So in terms of handling, it's not quite on the level of the 7 Series or an S-Class, but who cares? Yes, I am on one of my favorite canyon roads. I like to test cars up here, but this car is far too large to be driving in a spirited fashion anyway. It does have a few driving modes: eco, comfort, and sport. And yes, when you put it into sport mode, you do feel a few changes. The transmission holds gears a bit longer, the steering tightens up, and it slightly adjusts the seat to give you a little bit more bolstering on the sides, which is pretty cool. I will say the ride does seem to be just a hair bumpier than an S-Class, but the difference is so incredibly subtle, I'm not sure anyone would notice. So we do have 4-wheel steering here, which does take some getting used to. At faster speeds, you can really feel the rear end moving in a different direction from the front, which helps the car turn a bit more effectively, but it is a very, very strange sensation the first few times you feel it. So I did take this vehicle on a long trip with my family, and we all basked in the luxurious glory that this G90 has to offer. All of the seat massagers were on, we had fragrances coming out of the climate control system, and everyone remarked on how quiet and serene this experience was. The highway driving assist worked really well. Even the semi-autonomous lane changes went off without a hitch. This is a really, really good road trip vehicle. if you don't really care about spending a ton of money on fuel, because you will be doing that. So the safety features in this Genesis are top notch. First and foremost, I always like to look at the visibility. It's really easy to see out the front. And even with how large this car is, it's not too difficult to determine where the front of your vehicle is. And the same cannot be said for a lot of large SUVs. Visibility out the sides is pretty good, and pretty decent out the rear, assuming that the rear sunshade is down. Then yeah, all of the automated safety systems, the rear cross traffic alert, pedestrian detection, auto braking, parking sensors, and those blind view monitors, they all work great. And I do think they can assist you in being a better driver, which is really necessary because traffic fatalities and injuries are at an all-time high in the United States. So auto manufacturers really need to be thinking about this and including features that help people be more safe behind the wheel. All right, now let's get to the price tag on this G90. This G90 3.5T e-supercharger all-wheel drive, that's a mouthful, as tested comes to just over $100,000. And that includes this optional Capri blue paint. This is quite a bit cheaper than a Mercedes S-Class. And this vehicle is every bit as good, but in the end, the biggest problem with this car is the badge on the hood. This segment of vehicle is not often guided by value or practicality. This class of vehicle is driven by brand, by tradition, and by outward appearance. Genesis is the quote new guy in town, and if one wants the absolute best, chances are kind of low you're going to be swayed by a brand that is an alternative to the industry standard. But if you've got boatloads of cash and you want one of the best sedans available today, and you don't care what badge is on the hood, the G90 is the perfect choice and arguably just as good as anything else out there. Though I am left wondering why Genesis invested so much time and effort into a class of vehicle where sales are shrinking every year. And while I personally prefer sedans over SUVs, it seems the writing is on the wall for sedans. Crossovers and SUVs continue to dominate even though they're often worse and less safe than their sedan counterparts. But ultimately, my main takeaway from driving the G90 for a week is that every car on the planet should have massaging seats and a driving experience this serene. In a time when traffic is getting worse and more annoying to deal with, road rage is on the rise, we all need to chill the f out when behind the wheel of a car, and the G90 is one of the best vehicles in the world to do this. If you like this video, please consider subscribing and hitting that bell icon. If you want to help support the channel, please buy a Hello Road t-shirt at helloroad.tv/shop. If you're wondering why this part of the video is handheld and not with my tripod, it's because just a couple minutes ago, my tripod fell down because of all these wind gusts and broke my camera and my tripod. So that's great. Anyway, this wind, you wind, made this video really difficult to film today, but still had a lot of fun because I was driving this vehicle. So thanks so much for watching. Hope you're well. See you soon.